So I might sound a little different tonight, but I said, you know what, I want to go on anyway. Just a few things I want to talk about, a couple things I want to kind of drive home, and a bunch of cool stuff came up today. So I thought, you know what, it'll work out. I may sound funny, but so be it. I'm hoping that the coffee will soothe me to the degree that it won't be too much. If it becomes too much, we'll just, call it what it is, and try again tomorrow. But I'm just gonna keep going. Why not? I love dark coffee. So, kitten, how's it going? Good to see you. Can I turn my mic up a bit? Let me guess. It changed my volume again. I guess now I have to check this every night. I didn't think. So sorry. It seems like it doesn't. What is it doing? Yeah, it set it to 41%. Let's put that back up. Sorry about that. Maybe I should just whisper all night. I don't know. I forget if that's good or bad. So there's a little part of my brain that's ringing that whispering too much is bad for your throat, like for your voice. I don't know if that's true or not, because I'm very hoarse right now. So I thought, maybe I'll just whisper all night. I mean, if you're gonna read from Kabbalion, you might as well whisper from Kabbalion. Yeah, very tight, sorry. Under and back of the universe of time, space, and change is ever to be found the substantial reality, the fundamental truth, the Kabbalion. Chapter 4, that's a biggie. It's called The All. What is the All? Is it everything? No. But the everything is in the All. What about nothing? The nothing is also in the All. All is in the All. But the All is too big to be an All. So it's reflected in kind of a holographic way. It's in it, but it points to it. It's kind of a separated version, like a spectrum. You see the red and the blue and the green as separate pieces, but they're really not. They're just a separated version of that one, right? So all is just a separated version of the all. And so in that way, when you look at anything, it's a reflection of the thing, the only thing, right? So that's the all in all. And that's it. Period. It's kind of beautiful, isn't it? It's very elegant. I mean, there's not too much to get in the way there. There's many principles in the Kabbalion. There's also many principles in mathematics, science, art, right? Aesthetic, composition, color, tone, temperature, saturation. Saturation's a biggie, and so's value. Saturation implies distance. Da Vinci taught us that by observing a very, very kind of clever guy, that Da Vinci. He took a series of balls that he crafted out of paper mache, 3 feet across, that he painted a very bright red. And he made about a dozen of them. And he separated them 50 feet apart. And then he stood and he observed how that color changed over distance. And he observed that, firstly, as it goes further away, it gets lighter, and secondly, it desaturates. And so as he began to paint his paintings, he would apply that to his perspective. So anything in the distance was lighter and less saturated than the stuff in the front. And it's actually quite beautiful. And you can apply that same concept with respect to this whole idea. It, when you consider that analog, it's quite beautiful. And we can really learn a lot from Da Vinci in respect to how he applied his understanding of his rules, his axioms of form and proportion and color, and how that manifested as these not only beautiful pieces of artwork, but are actually master classes in sacred geometry, in the golden mean, in symbolism, and in the language of truth, spoken in many different forms, packed into this knowledge system where one painting could really be an entire body of knowledge to the right eyes. That entire concept is really the basis for the Corpus Hermeticum. The body of the Hermetic art is based on that idea of this as above, so below. And now there is implied in that a middle, a place where above is no longer above and you have reached below, right? I mean, if there's a concept of as above, so below, then that, well, actually, let's just illustrate this. Let's just be it. I mean, I'm always talking about embodying. Let's just embody as above, so below, right? And so let's just pop up my camera and take a look at that, right? So essentially, as above, so below implies that there's an above and a below, and therefore there is a transitional place that must be crossed so that you're no longer here, but you're here, right? And where is that? Interesting question. The Kabbalists call it the abyss. We call it maybe the hard question with respect to consciousness. Are we a Cartesian theater, right? Is consciousness emergent? It's the crest. It's the space in between the troughs. Every two has a third, and that is the third. The third is that place in between, where it's not one or the other, but it's almost both. And that's where we live. We know that we can use microscopes to see the extreme small. We can actually photograph atoms. We've taken pictures of atoms moving and dancing and doing. It's awesome. Check out Numberphile and type in atoms, and you're going to see some very interesting stuff. We can look up into the cosmos, and we can see in a tiny speck of space. Too much to even talk about with respect to the amount of possibility that planets, galaxies, time in that one speck. Right? So huge, so small. Where are we? We live in the middle. The middle is all there is. We look at the tree of life here, and we see a couple of things that are very sort of prominent motifs. And one of the important motifs that we see, not only in the tree of life, the wheel that I bring up a lot for the deacons, we see it in the Tao, the most elegant form of this. This concept of this duality, the polarity, negative, positive. And I don't think duality is a good word. I think it's more appropriate to think of a 9-volt battery. It's one thing with two poles. It's not two things. And more importantly, what those poles are in respect to reality, to the objective and the subjective. It's really just a description of the range. The black is as far negative as you can go into this lower world. The white is as high as you can go into the upper world. And it turns out both of these worlds, at the end of this process, are infinite. They go both ways forever. And so the range is really just a blurry concept. And what really only exists is the gray in between, playing out as different shades due to collisions with other shades. 2 grays is a little darker. So there are no poles. It's a decision. And that decision gets made on multiple levels. There's this idea that there's multiple levels of reality occurring at the same time, right? There's multiple trees. There's 4 trees. We live in the bottom world of physical. At least that's what we think. We do, but we also live in 3 others at the same time, don't we? We're stuck in root chakra. We live in wand world, and it makes us think we're stuck in pentacle. You know, the reality is that we're not only at the bottom. We live in all 4 at the same time, but we're interrogating with just the one lens. So we can use this knowledge to recognize that fact and to recognize that what we're experiencing is strictly one lens of this moment. And we do have the capacity through our mind to perceive those others. Just by recognizing that you can't use the eyes to see light that is at a frequency higher than they're tuned to detect. The eyes have a very specific range on purpose, and they're highly useful for that purpose. In fact, our visual system is the most taxing on our brain. Its level of imposition is so high that you could shut off a majority of your other senses and strictly perceive your universe with your eyes, and would still have a very solid understanding of through color, emotion, and also through reactions of others' body language. There's things that you can detect in that system that are the reason that it's so complex in the brain, that it requires this level of commitment and brain power to the visual cortex, because one of the things that it does is that it is a information gathering. That's really what it's designed to do, and what it can be used to do if you tune it is to perceive symbol, since that's what it's already doing. But once you recognize that that's what it's doing, it essentially becomes an open filter. So it's a filter in the sense that it only shows us this little band of reality in respect to visual light. But at the same time, we're not attaching meaning yet, right? The meaning happens after we take it in and process it mentally and emotionally. So we have to recognize that, because everything that we're seeing is, in some sense, literally a direct analog to the divine. And so what we're looking at any given moment is not an accidental moment. It is literally the only thing that could occur in that moment. And we should take the opportunity to participate in that, because we already are. That's the point. And when we actively participate, instead of become a sort of like 50% sitting back watching, and 50% sort of, screaming out from the back of the theater. You don't want to be that person. Rather, write the script and before the movie ever gets made, right? And so it's all in your control. These different levels are accessed in different ways, and I've spoken about it before many times with respect to the idea of how we speak and listen with our different parts. We usually listen with our ears, but we can listen with our eyes. If you're a tarot reader, you do it all the time, and you know exactly what I mean. And then if you're, have entered the path and are walking it now, that's going to begin to make a lot more sense very quickly. So, what we're going to talk about tonight is just a couple of ways that we can access the different language systems that are outside of the usual ones that I speak about, because I usually speak about mind, body, soul, right, heart, wand, cup, sword, pentacle, all these. Solid, liquid, gas, plasma, gravity, magnetism, strong and weak, nuclear. The quaternaries, all the fours, with respect to these being language systems, because that's what they are. Right? What's the universe made of? It's not atoms. Right? It's not particles. The universe is made of language. Particles are one of the things that we speak, one of the things that we hear. So, I thought, let's go to one of the, I think, most succinct places to go when discussing these concepts of Hermeticism, and that's Kybalion. I love Kybalion, and I happen to have a great copy. I lost my copy years ago in a bad way, but it allowed me to grab this, which is a nice little combination of the Emerald Tablet and Kybalion in one volume, and it's just I love having them in one volume, so I'm totally fine with that. This new version. Really, really good version. And it's one of these that was printed on demand, which I like even better. So it's not like it was sitting in a warehouse waiting to get bought. This was not printed until I bought it. And so it didn't waste paper. It's a really, really good system. I kind of like that. So that's going to be fun. And now I bumped into something today which was very interesting. Gematria is one of my favorite subjects. I'm a big math nerd. I'm a programmer at heart. I specialize in databases and things like that. I'm always interpreting. I'm always data analyzing. I'm always looking at the data and trying to find patterns. And that includes languages. I'm always translating languages. So Gematria just sort of was natural for me to want to explore. Numerology, right? I started with Pythagorean when I was younger. You take the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, whatever, all the way to M, and then you put N under A, and then you write it again, and so every A becomes an N, right? Every B becomes an O. It's cool, and so you can kind of change words, have code. Very neat. Turns out it's actually a lot bigger than that. And when you recognize that some languages formed in a very sort of angelic manner, that there's a holiness to them due to their mathematics, due to their perfection, that those words in that Gematria actually gives you access to some answers that turned out to not be answers, but they turned out to be truth. Because we play with it, don't we? They're toys. Oh, let's take this word and then we'll see what it means, and we'll see if it means something else with these, and maybe the value will mean some other words that have the same value, and it's kind of cool, and we can, wow, it's so much fun. My name means Archangel. I must be powerful. Well, first of all, you are definitely powerful, without a doubt. However, sometimes the truth is so beautiful that it's undeniable, and so I decided to put in the word truth. Right now, I've done this exercise before, but I want to kind of go through it new and fresh with everybody here, because it's quite beautiful. Truth. I put in the word truth, right? So the word truth in Hebrew. Let's pop up the Gematria calendar and calculator here, and let's pop up the camera. Is Amet, right? Now remember, Hebrew is read from right to left, so it's not TMA, it's AMT. That's Aleph, Mem, Tau, Amet. Aleph is 1, Mem is 40, Tau is 400, so it's 441. Theosophically reduced to 9, but it means 441. And so the words for 441 are, how beautiful is this? Yah hears. The word truth in Hebrew means God hears, God listening. The boundary of the sea from within, to blow up a fire without number. Without number, how great is that? Gabrielle, how's it going? I'm sorry if I missed you. I mean, I can't, right? How beautiful is that? The word truth. 441. Wow. I'm glad you're back. Mine's right here. I'm going to have to make one in a bit too, but I'll wait till the hour. At the hour, I'm going to get cold. So I decided then, okay, I can't not do tomorrow. right? And what's Tamura? Tamura is what I just talked about. You take every word in the word, and then you change it based on a rule set. The rule set that I used is ALBM. Let me show you ALBM. It's on the top. Every aleph becomes a lamed. Every mem becomes a bet. Every tau becomes a kof. That's right. The word truth became the word Kabbalah. Now, you have to realize I'm like 14, 15 years old when I come to this conclusion. I did the math on my own. I'm like, I wonder what truth means, because I had my list of words I want to know what they mean. 1, union, love, 2, right, 10. Like, there's a bunch of words I wanted to look up when I discovered Gematria in Hebrew, and one of those words was truth. And so, of course, I did Tamura on every one of those words, and I discovered, wait a minute, the word truth, when you put it through the code, now it has to go through, obviously the ALBM code, because if I use a different set of, let me get that out of the way. If I use a different set of the Gematria, I'm going to have a different result. Let's say I would have used Adabesh. Adabesh, the aleph would have become a tau. What if I would have used Avagad? The aleph would have become a bet, the lamed, and so it would have been different. The mem would have become a lamed, a different word. So the ALBM, which you'll notice is a sort of a specific type of folding of the alphabet. If you consider what we're looking at here, it's the alphabet folded in half the way I had originally talked with in the Pythagorean. And when you apply that idea, you wind up getting Kabbalah out of the word truth, which is Amet, right? I have that backwards, I'm sorry, that should be, because the A became, so you get the idea here. And the numerical value is 132. And that means, to receive. To receive. And let's look at some other 132s. God is high, to break out and pour forth, devastate, like a flood. The decision of Yah. Come on, really? Is that something? Isn't this something? Okay. That's let's see. That's a dangerous question, because a lot of the online stuff is depending upon how the programmer designed that. Here's what you need, and I'll email it to you. Or you can even just take a screenshot or whatever the case. But here's what you need. Okay, what you need is the following. You need this table. This is available in 777. It's Crowley 777. Just Google Crowley's 777. Get the PDF. It's free. You're going to find it in 25 places. I think Sacred Text has a copy that you can get, or any Thelemic or OTO lodge usually has an OTO like resources, and you can download it there. But get 777. This table will be in there, but you just need this, and I can email it to you, so no problem. Just remind me. I'm happy to do it. And so this is going to just let you know what letters are what. Now, as far as the Tamura is concerned, there are Tamura tables, I believe, in 777, but if otherwise, be very careful where you find the Tamura tables. The best place would be to make sure that it's a source like Crowley, or that it's a reliable source. If you're concerned, just bounce it off of me, and I'll make sure that it's reliable. But mine, I just these are mine, so I just use mine, because I know they're correct, because I've done my homework, right? And the your one is just an ALBM. That's a special one that I'm going to be using for a demonstration, where we use our own code word to shift everything, and then we use the normal ALBM from there. So that's a specific demonstration, and I'm going to be using that for a very special contest. That's right. I'm going to be giving away an oracle, a very special one that I'm going to hand make. And it's also going to include a pendant that is a snow globe of an exact replica of the whole entire oracle. And I'm going to be giving it away in a contest. And that contest will include a little bit of decoding multiple layers of Gematria and Tamura on a code word that I'm going to hide in a riddle. The answer to the riddle is a word. You're going to apply Gematria to that word. Do Tamura on the answer to the Gematria. Do Gematria on that answer. Do Tamura again, and then that's going to give you a new word. The person who speaks that word to me first is going to win the oracle. It's going to be fun. I'm in the process right now. That said, though, so those two things will really set you on a good path. Now, there's a couple of books that are pretty decent. Anything by Israel Regardie is very good. Anything by Lon Milo Duquette is literally gold. Treat it like gold. Anything by him related to Kabbalah. Anything by him related to tarot. He's the living source. Otherwise, Regardie, Cicero, all the people in the Golden Dawn that have talked about Gematria are great. And there is a chapter in 777. Okay. Here's I think this is the LBM table. No, this is Albert. See it on the bottom there? All right, and so it's this is not a bad book to get that table. And there's various others. It also includes the 9 chambers and some other stuff. 9 chambers is here. Let me show you 9 chambers. Sorry, my computer is very slow. Nine chambers is that area there with the 333, 222, and so forth. Okay, now my recommendation is that you do this. And I'll email it to you. Print one. All right, I'll print. This is mine, so this is. I don't have this up on the. But it's same thing. But it's the one I have up is not the one I use personally. This is my personal one. Okay. Yeah. So and it's just you. It has the 9 chambers. Has that chart with the so you can just reference it. Which it's memorize it. It's 22 characters. It's cool. It's only 22. We can memorize lyrics to a song in 3 listens, right? But if you while you're working on it, right? I still reference it. I'm not gonna lie, right? And then the 9 chambers, and then the you're gonna want the Rose Cross. That's mine. Those are my characters. Those are my letters. This is my this is my design. But it's that's right. Bark on the truth, honey. You want to say hi? Come here, baby. Oh, Melanie's gonna come say hi. Come here, Mel. Come here, pretty. Were you barking at Arlo or me? I couldn't tell. Oh, okay. So, the Rose Cross is good too. Now, there's a couple of places you can get it, but I like mine because I'm lazy, and I put the transliteration. So, you also have the English characters to kind of help you next to the Hebrew characters. And you can also, if you wanted to, you can put the signs and planets and everything, because this is the 22, and we'll talk about this. This is the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Okay, all 22. But now all 22 include the 22 trumps of the tarot. And so 3 of them are elements. Aleph, Mem, Shin. Aleph, Mem, Shin is the Fool, the Hangman, and Judgment. Right? And so those 3 cards are the main elements. I do that in my bead oracle. I showed that. And let me pull it out so we can go together. Since we're talking about this tonight anyways. Let's just do it. I use that in my bead oracle as those 3 main beads are the Aleph, Mem, Shin of the 22. Then there's the 7 planets And then there's the 12 signs, and that's the 22 letters. If you want to see that chart, it's right there. Right? Fool, Aleph, Air. Right? The juggler, the magician, Bet, Mercury. It's the planet Mercury, and so forth. So that chart is that knowledge. Sorry for the noise. I love the noise. I love it. Noise is life. Okay, let me set my intention, and then I'll put the oracle on top. Oh, by the way, have you guys seen this? Who wants a psychic child? Call me. We can figure it out. Where's my number? It works. It's the same exact thing as the oracle, but for children. Bang it around, throw it around. It's made out of rubber erasers, but it's perfectly mathematically it. With the significator points to the answer. You're gonna love it. Give me a call. I'll teach you how to make one. They definitely work. Okay, so let's just jump to the desk here. So let me get my pentacles. Okay, so let's just show you the equivalent here, so you can understand what these are for. I have to wait for the camera to catch up. Okay. Do you understand what we're? Okay. You see what we're? Okay, good. So it's just an equivalent. It's sympathetic magic. It's basic sympathetic magic. Okay. It works. This is the intent. Cool. So the one we're going to be using is this, which is the 22 letters. This is the alphabet, right? This is the Hebrew alphabet. What we're looking at here is the 3 letters, the 7 planets, the 12 signs, and there's the 4 asteroids, which represent the 4 trees, the 4 worlds. We're in the lower world, the formative, the matter world, right? And again, I'm not here to teach Kabbalah, because how dare I? I'm an Italian from Brooklyn, but I can point to it. I can talk about it. But so that said, I'm going to talk about the 4 trees eventually. I'm going to talk about, the color systems and all that. It's in 777. Great book. Great book. Anything by Duquette that talks the Kabbalah, buy that stuff. Buy it, live it, love it. Buy 2 copies because he deserves the money. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just set it up real quick, get the beads out, and then we will continue. This is for binary too. We're going to use this later for the I Ching to pull hexagrams. But in the meantime, let's just get settled here with the boy and the girl separate. Okay, let's put her on first. And by the way, let me catch up on the chat. Can I say what again? I'm sorry, kitten. What? Okay. boy. And let me just make sure I have this set in the right spot before we... That needs to move up a bit. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay. Yeah, my computer is very slow right now, and so I apologize for that. I really want to thank everybody who's being patient, and if you aren't being patient, I apologize. That's your fault. Patience is a choice. Asshole. I know. I'm kidding, jeez. You really think I'm like that? I am not like that. Although patience is a choice. And I would prefer you choose it for your own sake. But you're an adult. You're a human. You get to do what you want to do. And this way we can read them all at once, right? We know the pentacle here. And then we're going to use that same system here, right? So this will be the top of the pentagram. This will be the two bottom points. Let's let that catch up. Okay, and then this is going to be the two middle. Cool. All right, let me get rid of that overlay right now. We don't need it. And this is the new significator that I'm using because that small bead accidentally, surprisingly, beautifully looks a lot like her large elemental beads. Right, how beautiful is that? With the flowers and everything, that copper vibe. It's really something. Okay, come on. Isn't that something? So I thought, you know what? And so I stacked a bunch of them together. I broke an earring, and I used the metal piece from the hook to just string them together. On the bottom is a little pendant that looks like a moon. You see it? And so that's the significator. That's what we're going to be using to point at stuff, because I just love that. This is one of those, look here, right? And it also gives us a place to start and finish. It's really, really useful for a certain type of reading. And so I'm going to throw it in there, and if we decide to use it, we will. And if we decide not to, we won't. I know the color. I love that purple. I love purple. Well, you know what my definition of purple is. Why we're here. Okay, so this is the actual alphabet, right? So now, why am I doing all this? Because we're talking about Gematria. That's right. Each one of these beads is a letter, which means we can spell words. Not only can we spell words, we can use that to change words. It's not a joke. And now here's the deal. When you get used to that language, instead of referencing this chart, let's get my camera out of here. Instead of referencing this chart to decide how you change the letters, you memorize it in your head, and you just get an idea and a sense of that. Okay, well, you know, when I'm going from, say, Aleph to Mem as an example, that, you know, you just memorize. You know that blue becomes red, right? Or you know that Venus turns into Mars, or whatever your vocabulary winds up being with your beads. How you associate them. Do you associate it with color or shape or size, or do you just memorize the table and do it that way? It's kind of very personal how you access it and how you approach it, but it kind of needs to be to work. But once you have the language, it's nothing short of speaking manifestation at will. So each one of these is a letter, which is just great. Okay, good. So this little guy's cute too. You know what this is? This is an analog of these. It's just all metal. Just let that catch up. I promise you it's all there. The same number of wands, cups, swords, and pentacles, and I put a wing in as the significator. Let me see if I can get it to the top. There it is in the middle. See the wing? The wing is pointing right now to the heart. This is the heart center. Right? If you were to take this ball here and draw a pentagram on it in your mind, well, let's use the overlay, actually, because why not? Okay, so you can consider, see the pentagram is pointing to the blue section, right? And so what you do when you're reading the ball is you're overlaying that picture in your mind when you're looking at it. So you're looking at it and thinking, okay, well, the right side means heart, the left side means mind, right? The bottom left or the bottom right means will. The bottom left means pentacle, which what you have, what you've made, like the physical things, right? These are the planets manifest. These are the pentacle version of you. Your spiritual version looks different. Okay? And can be seen, just not using eyes. So, let's jump back to the Gematria here. There's a couple of tables here. You know, there's a table on the bottom right, which is very, very useful to figure out which letter is what bead. So, for instance, let's do Kabbalah as a word. QBL. Kof Bet Lamed. So let's look at the chart. If we look down and we keep looking, well, let's get the big one here so you can see the unfolding a little easier. There it is. Okay. This is my big one. All right, I'll email that to you too. So this lets you very quickly and easily reference what's what, right? So we're looking for. Let me get my. Let's use the red one. I'm feeling a little Vader tonight. Join me. See, I blew my voice out. I can't do Vader. Wow. Join me. No, I can't. How do you like that? Shit. It looks like I'm not singing in church tomorrow. Alright, so, Kof. Alright. And so we just go down the line until we find the letter Kof is the moon. Alright, so that's this. Let's put it with him. Actually, I like the moon card. Maybe I should put the moon out tonight. I have the moon up and ready to get looked at as a sort of an analog to something I was speaking to somebody about today with respect to analogs. And this is the bottom half of the moon card of the Crowley Thoth Tarot. And we're going to be looking at the complete card in a different context after. That'll be fun. But so the moon, right? So the Kolf is the moon. Bet, right? So if we look, we see Bet is a oh, this is the wrong chart. Bet is Mercury. The moon, Mercury, and then Lamed, right? So we're going to just go down the line until we see our Lamed, which is right here, Justice, Libra. Man, don't get old. And now these are my signs. Let me show you that just to make sure. Drive that home. Three earth, 3 fire, 3 water, 3 air, right? Okay. Let me see. Let me separate it real quick. Yeah, I don't want these to roll. They're going to roll. But yeah, so the fire signs, right? This is, you know, Aries, Leo, Sag. Air. Or, let me show you what. Oh boy, they're going to roll. Man. Water. Pisces. Look how pretty Pisces. Gemini. Look at Scorpio. Does that say Scorpio or what? Like, it even looks menacing. I mean, nothing against Scorpios. Listen, Scorpios, I'm sure, are lovely people. So, I'm kidding. Stop. I'm kidding. All right, anyway. So, yeah. So, Gemini and Libra. So, So now, since the word Kabbalah means to receive, I'm going to have the moon as new, meaning like in a state of reception. As opposed to bestowal. So this is Kabbalah. This is very neat. Now you could then say, okay, well now I know in the future, like it's going to be hard for everybody here unless you just are willfully trying to do that. To forget, Kolf means moon, right? And you're gonna remember that as you go through the chart, right? You're going to remember different things about the letters or different things about which planets mean what tarot card, and it's important to kind of go through that exercise. And now a chart is useful. It's very useful for that purpose. But one of the best charts that I've ever seen for this is the Tarot of Ceremonial Magic by Milo Duquette and Constance Duquette. It's a cheat sheet deck of the highest order. There's several cheat sheet decks out there that attempt to be cheat sheet decks. They're not. They're just confused. Just the way he approached it is correct. The way the symbolism is laid out on the card, so it's just there for every card. It tells you which. Crowley, however, or the Thoth Tarot, which is really Frida Harris, not Crowley. The way she hid the symbolism in the card. Let's give you an example here. It's on the majors. It's just stuck on the bottom. It's just right there, like Scorpio. Right, death. Scorpio means death. And then you have the correspondence here as well, like the Hebrew letter, the sign, and the name are just printed on the bottom. But on the minors, they're hidden, or they're not obvious. So, like as an example, this is the Five of Cup, right? Mars in Scorpio, right? So it's like on the card, it's kind of hidden there, Mars and Scorpio. But now when you're reading the card, you can go, oh wow, okay. So you start to remember Five of Cup, Mars and Scorpio. And if you don't, that's fine because it's built into the card, like it's on there. So you don't have to have a table with you to go through that exercise. If you have a deck that has the information on it, or if you're going to make your own deck, write the symbol on the card. Right? There's no shame in writing on your tarot cards. You're allowed to write on your tarot cards. Write on your tarot cards. It's okay. They're just no. It's just cardboard. Lose a couple decks and get over it and buy new ones, and you'll go like, you know what? It's just cardboard. Like, it's cool, man. So that's the idea, right? You can use the beads to actually do the Gematria, and it's very cool because your brain will eventually begin to make these connections sort of automatically. And now this is another form of Gematria too. This one here. It's called 9 chambers. And so that's how you do the change. You essentially elevate it to its next elevation. Or you could also use this for the numerical transformation. So the way that it's drawn on paper, where can I go to see that appropriately? That might work. That will work. I'll do that. Okay. Wait, what am I looking at? Lesser Yang. Okay, good. All right, so this is how that would be drawn then. So, for instance, let me get the chart out here. If we were going to write Kabbalah, it would be Q. And since that's 100, it would have 2 dots. Right? If that were a 10, it would look like this. Pardon. I'm not good with a mouse. I'm great with a stylus. Not good with a mouse. I'm 1 USB port short of plugging my stylus in. And if this were an A, and I already have a multi-port, it's my computer is crying. Right, so this is how you write that. And now, so essentially that would be, let me just clarify this for visual here. Right, so you see that on the bottom there, 100, 1A. So Q is 100, and would be written by making that shape. Like making the shape of the corner that it is in, and giving it 2 dots to delineate that it's the 3rd letter. It's the most valuable of the 3 in that line. And so that's how it's drawn, is by drawing it, like that. Right? You draw like that. And so, B, let's just look at B. What am I doing? Where's B would be in the middle there, and it would have no dots, right? So let's draw that. First would be Q. Jesus. Okay. And then B. What was wrong with that? See, that's not me. It's like not catching up in time because my computer's lagging that bad. Okay. Okay, and then Lamed. Okay. Yeah, that took way longer than it would have on paper. You know, I'm old school. Don't forget I'm pushing 50. I'm 47 years old. And when I started doing this, I was in my, I was a single-digit human. 1 digit. And so that said, you know, I did it with paper and crayons and colored pencils and, you know, so. But yeah, so that's how that's written. That's what you're looking at there. And so now if you were to receive this as a code word, you'd say, okay, well, what am I looking at here, right? And you'd reference your paper, and you would go, okay, well, I guess it's the word Kabbalah. And then that would have a numerical value and whatever the case may be. And you can essentially do Tamura on that, meaning that Tamura is, you know, a